Hello, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, retired NYPD Sergeant Bill Cannon, a 27-year veteran of the NYPD. Folks, the LA fire situation, I don't think that we can say it's getting better. Perhaps it's staying the same. It's growing. When you look at the map where all of the communities that are affected by this, the Palisades Fire community, it flared up overnight. It is still spreading, and they're expecting higher and higher winds. And there you see the areas of California. The long-term health effects of this, just like myself and Professor Mike Geary, were 9/11 first responders, and many of those health effects didn't occur to years and years and years later. So the long-term health effects to breathing in this smoke and the carcinogens and this toxic material is down the road, not immediately apparent. So when they order evacuations, it's not just for imminent danger, but it's that it's not safe to breathe the air there. So when they do issue these evacuations, people should take heed and absolutely get out of Dodge. After more evacuations on Friday night, firefighters were curbing the spread of the Eton and Palisades blazes ahead of high desert winds that were expected to intensify this weekend. Los Angeles firefighters were making modest progress in taming the region's two largest fires on Saturday as they raced to suppress them ahead of high winds that were expected to intensify later in the day. After a night of expanded evacuation orders and spreading flames that continued to plunge the area into what Lindsay Horvath, the Los Angeles County supervisor, called unimaginable terror and heartbreak, crews had contained 11% of the 22,660-acre Palisade fire and 15% of the 14,000-acre Eton fire near Altadena and Pasadena, according to California Fire. The two blazes, which together have killed at least 11 people and destroyed thousands of structures, rank among the 5 most destructive in California's history. Officials have said the death toll could rise. Mayor Karen Bass, in a news conference on Saturday, said officials were doing everything we can to prepare for higher winds. We have one mission, that's to save lives, to save homes and to save businesses, she said. At least 13 people are missing, according to Robert Luna, Los Angeles County Sheriff, said at a news conference on Saturday morning. He added that it was unclear if those missing people were connected to the fires. In total, about 153,000 residents are under mandatory evacuation orders, and some 57,000 structures are still at risk, according to Sheriff Luna. So no, we are not, and no one is out of Dodge yet with this fire, and it's still extremely dangerous. And all we can do is hope for rain. Will be one of the things we hope for, and hope for success in fighting this fire from spreading. But until that happens, we can just keep doing what we're doing, and keep fighting. And again, one of the things, of course, that helps spread this is the high winds, and that's one of the things that we have to hope subsides. So, folks, hold on to your hats, hold on to your drink. Hold on to your next door neighbor, your family, your loved ones. You're about to enter true crime from a police perspective. You're about to enter the off the cuff zone, the police off the cuff zone. There has to be some common sense.
They were the ones who called 911 to get him help, and now they're calling for change.
And now a word from our sponsor. BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, college basketball, to NHL and UFC, BetOnline is the number one sports betting source for the new year. From touchdowns to three-pointers and hat tricks, BetOnline has you covered on every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. Joining me today, of course, is fan favorite, crowd favorite, retired NYPD Sergeant, professor at Albertus Magnus College, and attorney. Welcome to the show, Professor Mike Geary.
Bill, good afternoon. Thank you for having me on. Good to see you.
You know, Mike, we can just hope from day to day and pray from day to day that the winds subside, perhaps that they get some rain, they get some help, they have the reinforcements that they need, they control the zones where these fires are from looters and from people that mean ill will to others. And they use what we've been using all the time in referring to this: preparedness, preparation, and clearly it has been missing in lots of areas of this response. But we even spoke about NIMS, National Incident Management System, which is guidelines, federal guidelines to deal with national disasters like this. Mike.
Yeah, Billy, we're way past that, discussion. We've discussed it to death about unpreparedness, proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. They were unprepared. They got caught flat-footed, and that's sad, but you have to move on and think about, what are you going to do now? Okay, you got caught flat-footed. Whatever strategy you had earlier in place, that's a dead issue. That boat sailed. Okay, come up with a better strategy now. With whatever it is that you have now, you can't hope. You got to just look at what you got and say, what can you do strategically and tactically in different areas to try to contain the fires so they burn themselves out? Because that's probably how these fires are going to end. Because you gotta make up for all the missed opportunities you had before the fire started. So therefore, it's going to be up to some really savvy people, some veteran firefighters, people with good strategic initiatives to come in and put their heads together with people from NIMS, from the state, the local people, and come up with a quick strategy to try to prevent the fires from spreading anymore. That's going to be really difficult. No water, high winds. You're going to be into that position where Hobson's choice. There's no good choice. It's, do you sacrifice this building for that building? Do you sacrifice this neighborhood for that neighborhood? This is really horrible. This is Dante's Inferno. But right at this point, it all comes down to strategy and tactics. With whatever little bit of equipment and water that you have, you got to do it.
Absolutely. This is from ABC News.
A new threat this morning. We are breaking into Good Morning America because of this. I'm Mark Robles alongside Irene Cruz. The Palisades Fire, one of the most destructive wildfires in California history, is continuing to spread now, as you see right here, moving towards Brentwood. It is currently more than 21,000 acres and growing. So, of course, this is a live look from Air 7. On board, we have Air 7 photographer Marcel Melanson joining us. And Marcel, you were typically in the helicopter with our Scott Reif Monday through Friday. If you can, from your assessment, how serious is this situation?
Good morning, Mark. Good morning, everyone. This is extremely serious. Last night, we saw this fire push north, and a lot of people in the Encino area were worried, and they were forced to evacuate, and they actually were set in a mood to get ready to go. Now we've seen a change in this fire where now it's directing south in Mandeville Canyon and now threatening the community of Brentwood. You can see how dangerously close these flames are to Brentwood now. And actually, the fire department are set up in these neighborhoods to do structure protection. So they knew it was coming. There was mandatory evacuations in this area. We just hope everybody heeded those evacuation warnings. And one thing I could say is, compared to Tuesday, What we're seeing today is a lot different situation because we're luckily not fueled by 80 to 100-mile-per-hour winds. The light winds are going to help the fire department get in front of this and hopefully save all these homes.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more.
So saving all the home, for people that aren't from California, when we talk about the Santa Ana winds and the power of these winds, just a single ember can hit the roof of a house, and there goes that whole area from a single ember. So that's why the dangerousness of these winds, and then the higher the winds precludes aircraft from going up into the air to fight the fire from the air. So it's a two-pronged situation. The winds spreading the fire through embers, and the fact that the winds preclude aviation, helicopters and fixed-wing aircraft to go up and fight the fire from the sky. Mike.
Yeah, unfortunately for people in this area and for Californians and for everybody watching, unfortunately, there's no really good news. The only thing that broadcaster said was that the winds were, not nearly as they were mild in that area. That's the good thing. That's the best that you could hope for. And so if you can get a foothold and get the whatever water you have, if you can get it right by that ridge line where that fire was going up that hill, if you can get it there, maybe you could stop it from spreading farther into Brentwood. But there's precious little good news. And the idea that you had mandatory evacuation ahead of time, that's great. The fact that they kind of foresaw that the fire would head towards Brentwood based on the winds and the path the fire was taking, that's also good. Get everybody out of there. So this way you're not worrying about people trying to leave Brentwood in maybe narrow streets when you're trying to get large fire apparatus up into those hills. So you get rid of that whole issue to deal with, so that the less lives are going to be in danger. But this is sad, and you just got to keep your fingers crossed that they can actually get ahead and on top of that mountain to drop something there. With mild winds, you could make, hopefully, airdrops from the ocean, get water from the ocean and drop it on there and prevent it from going over that other side of that mountain into Brentwood.
Mike, one of the things that we see, and it's part of emergency management, is that when there are disasters, criminals sense it, and criminals come out of the woodwork and take advantage of the situation for their own benefit and their own thievery. And that is also what is occurring here. That is why a portion of the emergency management has to be dedicated to security. And I don't know if there's enough personnel to do such.
National Guard has been brought in to bolster security, and some people have gone back home to try to defend what they have left. Chris Van Cleef has that from Altadena.
The sense of loss in Altadena is hard to describe. Destruction is everywhere. And then this island of 6 seemingly untouched homes saved by Pete Villani, who stayed behind to fight back the massive firestorm.
These are all my friends. These are all, we're a family here. I love my neighbors. And it's like, you feel guilty because I survived. I couldn't save the whole block.
But even as he worked to put out hotspots, another threat emerged: looters. He says he and a neighbor have chased off 2 groups attempting to break into the homes still standing.
What kind of person, what kind of human being would take advantage of somebody at that point? It's just like, I don't even want to say what I would do, but it's shocking.
Did you worry about your safety when you confronted the folks trying to get in that house?
No, I will say this. It would have been a bad day for them to do anything.
Do you feel like you're defending your neighborhood now?
Yep. That's why I'm here. This is why I stayed.
He's still standing watch, even as the National Guard's armored vehicles are blocking evacuated neighborhoods and police are ramping up patrols.
Looting has zero tolerance. Looting or exploiting in the disaster areas will not be tolerated. Anybody caught looting or committing crimes in the affected areas will be arrested and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
This was the view from Jonathan Esham's home Tuesday as the Eaton fire raced towards it.
Almost what I would say the surface of the sun might look like. It was just pure chaos and panic everywhere.
He evacuated, and while the fire stayed out, it appears someone tried to break in, busting out a window and trying to pry this one open.
The idea that somebody could have been in your house while you guys were evacuated.
It's horrifying. Like, I don't even want to imagine it.
A horror disgustingly man-made in the middle of this massive natural disaster.
So, during the World Trade Center attacks, we had the same problems. We had criminals before they had the security in place, before they had a good security in place at the site. They didn't have enough people doing security on the site, checking identifications of people coming in. And so people were wandering in and out, some with bad intentions, and in a big disaster like this, as I said, you have to have enough people dedicated to security. And I love that homeowner. He sort of implied, without saying it, he was exercising his Second Amendment. He didn't say it, but
No.
you're going to confront a group of 4 or 5 people. You better be strapped, because they are, and that's all they understand. They understand the Second Amendment. You show them Mr. Glock or Mr. Smith and Wesson, and that's all they understand. Mike.
Yeah, Billy, we see this sort of behavior from humans, and it's absolutely disgusting. We see it after fires. We see it after floods. We see it after hurricanes throughout the country. No state, no county, no city, no town is without a few miscreants doing this sort of thing. The idea that somebody would decide, oh, I'm going to go into that area where there was evacuation and steal. They deserve whatever they get. And, that homeowner would defend his home and the neighbor, the two of them, would defend their property. And they have every right to exercise their Second Amendment right to do so. And I'm glad they did. And I got to give that guy a thumbs up, because he's a hero, and he and his neighbor are a hero in my book. They saved what could have been even a lot worse scenario than what has already happened. So therefore, thumbs up to him. But sadly, this stuff happens all the time, and the National Guard is out there with cleanup crews, not to clean up, but to actually safeguard people from people's possessions from looters. And you know what? You if you're willing to loot somebody else's home after some flood or hurricane or fire or disaster like this, you deserve whatever you get from the homeowner, from neighbors, from the National Guard, from the police, from a judge. You deserve the worst punishment that can be meted out.
100%, Mike. And I want to play this from Newsmax. Our friend Bobby Chacon is on this, talking about the same
Dozens
topic.
of communities, yet authorities are facing another troubling challenge as well: crime. Now, a man wandering around the Woodland Hills area with a blowtorch was arrested by law enforcement in connection.
This is not playing well. I may have to abort this mission here. Well, they caught a homeless guy with a blowtorch that they think may have started one of these. I'm going to take this off the screen. Well, now it goes back. Let me put this up on the screen again.
Ski, along with retired FBI.
I'm going to get rid of it. It's not playing well. So they were talking about this whole situation with looters, and one of the fires. They believe that a homeless guy that had a what they described as a blowtorch was started one of the fires. Outrageous, and again, when we talk about these big situations, you always have to be concerned with security, and you can't just let people wander around with bad intention and not have anyone working security to secure these sites. This is a homeowner confronting this guy. On a bicycle with a blowtorch, the homeowner is confronting him. For those that are listening to this, he's a little bit afraid to go one-on-one with him, so he gets some other homeowners to come to the scene, and eventually they take this guy down and they hold him for the police. Can you imagine, this is part of the problems you have in these large-scale disasters. That if you don't prepare for it, again, we use that word preparation. If you don't prepare for people like this, who have an agenda to do bad things, cause destruction, you need police, you need National Guard, you need homeowners that are going to look out for other homeowners as things like this occur. And you can see other homeowners come to the scene. If you're watching this, if you're listening, I'm narrating it. Another homeowner comes to the scene and they're going to eventually take this guy down, remove his blowtorch from him, and hold him to the police. And as I said, when we responded to the World Trade Center attacks in 2001, we had some of these very same problems because criminals don't take a day off. They see this as an opportunity. Here we go. They've confronted him. They're now holding him for the police. There's at least 4 or 5 homeowners. They're going to take him to the ground and they're going to hold him there. Potentially he's probably an ED, which in police lingo means emotionally disturbed person. But you always have to be aware that these type of individuals are going to take advantage of the wounded neighborhood and they're going to do nefarious things. Mike.
Yeah, this guy might be an EDP, an emotionally disturbed person. No doubt he's not. He's got he's a few cards short of a full deck to play with. People have to remember, no matter, even if it's just an ordinary, beautiful summer day, stuff can happen, disaster can strike. You are your own first responder. Before 9/11 will get there, before the police, fire, EMS will get there, it's you and anybody else that can help you there. That is the first responder. You and other civilians are first responders. They did it right in this case. The police came and they released him. They did not arrest him for any sort of suspected arson, but they did arrest him for a probation violation when they found out there was a warrant out for him. And that's a good thing. The idea that he would just drive around on a bicycle with one of those little blow torches is incredible. And now either he is the most unlucky or idiotic person you can imagine, but the homeowners and the people in the neighborhood, they did what you have to do. You have to have good people to work with, good neighbors to work with, and you have to be willing to put yourself out there because you are your own first responder. They did it right. And so therefore nobody got hurt and they did it right. So kudos to them for doing what they did.
Folks in the chat are saying, "Oh, he was just he was smoking weed." That's like a little torch that he had. It's more of a lighter than a flamethrower.
That's what a homeowner uses.
In this situation, where a simple ember will start a whole neighborhood up in flames, you have to take this very seriously, and you cannot just allow someone, whatever his intentions were, it was smoking weed, smoking crack, whatever. He's got a fire source. And the police and the fire department and the homeowners got to take this very seriously because all he was doing was exercising his right to smoke weed. No, not in these situations. This is, I can't believe some people in the chat actually said that because it's almost like a wartime situation. Yeah, that instrument he has that starts up, that even if it's a lighter, in his state of mind, he could set the whole neighborhood on fire. Let me play this. This is Michael Strahan.
New fire erupted. The Kenneth fire quickly scorched about 1,000 acres. Our Kanan Whitworth is tracking the very latest. And Kanan, what do we know about the person that was taken into custody near this new fire?
Yeah, Michael, deeply concerning here. We're hearing from LAPD that a person is detained in connection with that Kenneth fire as they investigate it as arson. And now that fire started as firefighters were still trying to save homes and communities like this one here in Altadena. And sadly, as that death toll rises to 10 here, as Matt Gutman was alluding to, these are areas that they still have to go through with cadaver dogs at this point.
Overnight, the Kenneth fire, igniting in the West Hills, quickly ravaging nearly 1,000 acres in a matter of hours. Evacuation orders expanding rapidly, and LAPD says they have detained someone in connection as they continue their arson investigation.
The speed at which this fire went is just unbelievable.
Santa Ana winds picking up again Friday, gusts already at 81 miles an hour.
we are expecting this fire to rapidly spread due to high winds.
180,000 residents told to evacuate and more than 300,000 without power. Overnight, the Palisades Fire growing. Early estimates of more than 5,000 structures destroyed. It's now one of the most destructive fires in California history, burning nearly 20,000 acres with just 6% containment. Amid the fight, a civilian drone colliding with a super scooper, damaging the wing, grounding the vital resource. A possible federal crime being investigated by the FAA. But the scenes from above are unrecognizable.
At one point, we'll be able to do a more thorough search of these impacted areas. Some of them look like a bomb was dropped in them.
And not everyone made it out. The death toll rising to 10. As Governor Gavin Newsom deploying 8,000 firefighting and emergency personnel, including the National Guard, firefighters pouring in from all over the country to help assemble at the front lines, battling the flames and the wind.
A lot of the damage out here looks a little bit more like a hurricane. When you think of life-threatening, catastrophic wind event, this is the aftermath. This is a pine tree that snapped at the top and went crashing down into the road.
And for many, they fear returning is not an option.
At our age, it's going to take years to come back for our village, for our beautiful town to come back. It's surreal. I'm numb still.
Well, that sadness and that fear is quickly turning to anger in many of these communities over the lack of preparation and the poor response by both Governor Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass, who left the country knowing that these catastrophic winds were forecasted. And the big questions here are around budget cuts to fire departments, as well as reports of fire hydrants running dry for firefighters amid one of the hardest fights in their life. Rebecca.
So folks, again, this is a disaster at the highest level, you know, and they said I had heard that the death toll was 11. They just said here it was 10. But chances are it could be double that, because they haven't been able to get into many of the areas to revisit the areas that have been devastated. So potentially, just like we remember that horrific Hurricane Katrina in Louisiana, as they were able to turn it into from a rescue to a recovery, that's when they started discovering more and more bodies. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news or look at the pessimistic side, but potentially that is what is going to occur here. As they go back into these areas where the fires may have burned out, that's when they're going to discover people that didn't adhere to the evacuation and tried to save their own homes. And this is very, very, very sad. Mike.
Yeah, Bill, I mean, you have to be realistic about it. Like you said, you have to be the bearer of bad news. You're going to find people, maybe a homeowner who is, find their body in their backyard, overcome by smoke, trying to, with the garden hose, trying to just save their property or save their neighbor's property. You're going to find those sorts of things. You're going to find skeletal remains of people. You're going to find probably people in their basement who were trying to maybe hide, that didn't know what to do. And so, they just go to a basement and lock the door, and maybe they've got some water and food or whatever, preparation, that sort of thing. You're going to find those sorts of things. You're going to find, because we have, they said, I think like 13 people that are confirmed missing. At this point, if we haven't located them, it would be a miracle if any of them are alive. So sadly, this death toll will probably double or maybe even triple before it's over.
Folks, this is Police Off the Cuff, real crime stories. If you like real crime, true crime from a police perspective, in the right place. And if you're not subscribed, just hit that red subscribe button right on the screen. We make it really easy for you. Give us a thumbs up, ring the bell, share us with your friends and your family, hit the like button. And if you want to contribute to us financially, we have a Patreon with 4 different levels, and we have a YouTube channel membership with 5 different levels. And we appreciate all of our friends, our fans that have made this show what it is and help support this show. I want to play this talking about some of the successes they have had in fighting this fire. And we'll listen to the chief here.
Good morning. The Palisade incident is now at 21,596 acres and 11% contained. It is being in unified command with CAL FIRE Incident Management Team 2 coordinating the efforts. Ground crews and aerial assets worked through the night in the Mandeville Canyon area, creating containment lines and protecting structures, continuing a full suppression effort. Approximately 100 engines were surged into that area for direct suppression efforts and for structure defense. 6 night flying helicopters were utilized all night, and additional night flying resources were also ordered. It was an approximate 1,000 acres in growth last night in the Mandeville Canyon area. Early estimates from an aerial reconnaissance indicate approximately 5,316 structures have been destroyed. And please, what I want you to remember is that structures does not mean homes. Structures can be homes, outbuildings, RVs, automobiles, or other types of things like sheds or outbuildings. Damage inspection teams have been in the field surveying properties. As of this morning, it's confirmed 426 homes have been destroyed. We still have over 105,000 citizens that have been evacuated. There is a fire weather watch being issued for the next 72 hours. And tonight, there will be a community meeting at Calvary Westlake Church at 6:30 p.m. tonight. The address for the meeting is 5495 Via Rocas in Westlake Village. And next, I would like to introduce Ellie.
So that was pretty succinct, and I think that's what people want to hear. They want to hear from emergency workers. They gave an articulate assessment of where they're at, where they're going, where they can go to hear more from the community. Carol Grayston, thank you so much. Carol just gifted 5 police off-the-cuff memberships to some lucky future police off-the-cuff members. Thank you so much. Very much appreciated. You know, Mike, one of the things we like to talk about, or we have to talk about, is the human toll this takes. You know, when you think about lives that are the upheaval, this is families. This is people that live in these areas, that live, work. Their life is all around this area. Now, besides the fact that most of their homes are gone, they won't be able to go back into this area perhaps for years if they choose to rebuild, if they in fact have the insurance money, if they are insured in order to make themselves whole and to rebuild there. It may not be the smartest thing to rebuild there. I mean, these fires do happen every 5, 7, 10 years, and they are devastating, as we've seen with these fires, Mike.
Yeah, Billy, we saw this on the East Coast here between Long Island, New York, and down the Jersey Shore after Sandy, the superstorm Sandy, back in like 2012. You have devastation, homes flooded, you know, just total destruction along the Jersey Shore, all those counties along Jersey Shore, Long Island, places in Brooklyn and Queens. And then you want to rebuild, even if you can get a check, even a good check from your insurance company. Who are you going to hire? Everybody is looking to build back the exact same time. I saw instances where it took several years for people to actually get a contractor who would have time in their schedule to work on your property because they're working on everybody else's property. So you're going to get a lot of that. So you're right. It's going to take, for some instances, it's going to take several years, even if things go along with your insurance company and you get your check. So now you're going to be a little bit older. You're going to have to worry about the quality of the air that you're breathing right now. If you have any sort of lung issues, pulmonary issues, lung issues, whatever it happens to be, this is going to exacerbate that. And you're going to have health problems from that. We've seen this with people living and working below, Tribeca, in what they call Tribeca in New York City after 9/11. They told us the air was fine within like 72 hours. Everybody knew it wasn't, but a lot of people working there. a lot of cancer spread. People, civilians living in that area, first responders living in that area, visitors coming there. So some of these neighborhoods may not ever come back to what they used to be. They may end up just being nature will just take over and reclaim the land. But there is so much fallout, financial and human fallout for the first responders and all the people who are living, who are going to live, who've lived there, who are living there, and who are just going to go back there. They are going to be long-term systemic health issues, physical health issues. And then also you have to think about PTSD. I can't imagine the terror for people to live through something like this. We have a day, I remember 9/11 like it was yesterday, and the destruction that we witnessed afterwards. But this has been going on. This is a war zone. And so people are going to have a lot of issues, emotional issues to deal with too. This fire is absolutely devastating to these communities, and they may never come back to be what they were. They may come back a little bit, but they're going to come back very different from what they were a week ago.
You know, Mike, I know I don't know if people get tired of hearing from us in that, but we refer to 9/11 because practically every first responder that I know that responded to 9/11, that worked the days, the weeks, and the months after the attacks, has some type of health issue related to 9/11, whether it be asthma, GERD, sinusitis, to very sophisticated cancers and breathing issues and heart disease. All of those things have been attributed to the response to 9/11, and many people have lost their lives from diseases. Don't forget, we, and I'm saying first responders, we were breathing in aerosol concrete, concrete that was turned into a gas, and that's inside our lungs, you know. And sometimes it would take 10 years, 15 years. It's been 23 years since 9/11. So when we look at a disaster like this, perhaps the effects of it will not show up for many, many, many years, but there will be long-term health effects from this disaster, Mike.
Yeah, and that's going to be an issue because people who may be young, maybe in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, and you go back and you want to rebuild, and you can do that. But 30 years from now, those hidden, time bombs within your lungs may affect you. So you may think you're okay. You may be able to rebuild and go back to your property in your neighborhood, and you'd see it rebuild, and that's wonderful. But 30, and you may think you've escaped in terms of physical issues, but they may not even show themselves. You may not even have symptoms for 25 or 30 years down the line. And that's the sad part about it, is by that point, what do you do then? You can't go back and undo the damage from 20 or 15, 20, 25, 30 years ago. You can't. So that's the sad part, is there should be, like with 9/11, some monitoring on the state level or even on the federal level for people involved in that area to say, look, if you lived in that area or around that area, you should have like a once a year screening for cancers and for your pulmonary, lung system.
Absolutely. I'm going to go to the chat. HB Girl 99, I'm packing my emergency bag today, just in case, as the winds are coming back next week. This could happen in any of the cities with high winds.
No, absolutely.
Very smart to prepare for that. Urban Infidel, breathing in the smoke and fumes from the World Trade Center site blew over my neighborhood in Brooklyn for months. I developed a deep, deep cough from it. Now I have asthma.
That's right.
Urban Infidel, yeah. I mean, and many people, not just the first responders, many people that simply lived in the area got those respiratory diseases. Seventh Anubis, New York tests the hydrant and water systems every few years for rated flows of the hydrant codes. HB Girl 99, if you haven't experienced Santa Ana winds, it's really hard to explain or to understand. Chris AA, I'm sure you were referring to the 9/11 first responders. That's just depressing, truly. Yeah. I agree with you. It is depressing. Urban Infidel, so sorry for California. This is just terrible and awful. We all agree that it's terrible and awful, and there is ways to help, to donate money perhaps to the Red Cross or write to people who need immediate assistance. I know FEMA is boots on the ground there. In fact, 2 hours ago, this was the most recent press conference. I'm going to play some of this.
We've been working tirelessly with FEMA, the FCC, the state, and our region's telecommunications providers, and we've made the preliminary determination that the echo alerts happened as cell towers came back online after they were knocked offline due to this disaster. The outdated alerts were cached in the system, and as they came back online, started being released to the public. We are very grateful to our federal and state partners who are working with the cell phone providers to make sure that all of these outdated alerts are flushed from the cell phone towers so that this ceases. We believe this process is largely complete, and we are working with our federal partners and the providers to ensure that there is not a reoccurrence of the alerts going out in error. This has been frustrating, unacceptable, and the public is in the most need of accurate information, and we are moving forward rapidly to reestablish that. Finally, the press release spells out some of the immediate improvements that we are concurrently making to establish a more robust multi-layered notification system. We're enhancing 211 call network to respond to the public's urgent need for information. Technology, it can be great. These emergency alerts helped us evacuate hundreds of thousands of people in immediate life safety measures. We've undoubtedly saved lives. But the last couple of days have also reminded us that technology is vulnerable to the impacts of a disaster, especially unprecedented ones. So I will close by reminding everyone in the public, please, for your safety, the safety of your family and friends, to receive emergency alerts, you can sign up for our local program, which will be utilized by the state by going to Alert LA County. These are customized alerts. They are different than the wireless emergency alert. When you sign up, you can put landlines, your cell phone, you could receive text and email messages. Go to lacounty.gov/emergency to sign up for Alert LA County. With that, I thank you, and I'll introduce Fire Chief Anthony Maroney.
So good morning. I will be providing an Eaton Fire update. The fire is now estimated to be 14,117 acres with 15% containment, with over 7,000 structures damaged or destroyed. We have 2,832 personnel assigned to the incident, and it is static at this time. Elevated to critical fire weather conditions are predicted to continue through Wednesday. Moderate to locally strong Santa Ana winds will affect Los Angeles County, and today, tomorrow, and then again on Monday through Wednesday. LA County Fire will be prepared. These winds, combined with dry air and dry vegetation, will keep the fire threat in Los Angeles County high. I would like to take this moment to express my gratitude to Board Chair Supervisor Catherine Barger, along with Supervisor Horvath, but also to all of the boards of supervisors for their support of my personnel on my department and me as a department head and fire chief. To our first responders battling these wildfires from the air and ground, we recognize and commend their tireless dedication in protecting residents and properties. And finally, to our residents, please rest assured that we will continue to battle these wildfires until they are fully contained. We stand alongside all of you as we begin to plan for the repopulation the recovery, and the rebuilding. I would now like to invite up Todd Hopkins, Unified IC, CAL FIRE Incident Management Team for the Palisades incident.
You know, I think these type of press conferences with professionals, with the fire chiefs, are much more effective than having politicians up there thanking each other for doing nothing. You know, I think if I was a resident of this area and I just heard that chief give his presentation, I'd be like, right on. You know, thank you, chief. Thank you for doing what you're doing, because they're really doing something. They're boots on the ground. He's reporting what's happening in real time. And, you know, I'm not here to beat up all the politicians, but this is much more effective, Mike. Your thoughts?
Billy, this is the way you get the public to be confident in civic leaders, is to have someone who has actually some useful information for them, to give them an update of what's going on, so that even if they haven't got an evacuation order, they know whatever danger exists and where it exists and what's being done. Anytime you put people up in front of a microphone and a set, you know, with all the news media, they're just going to talk about platitudes and we're all working together and we're going to have this kumbaya moment in this moment of tragedy. No, have people like this. This is what you need to help the public not panic and understand what is being done, so that there's no rumors going around about the government not doing anything, or the government deliberately doing something bad, or whatever it happens to be. This is what you need. This gives the public confidence that things are actually being done, and what is being done, where it's being done, how it's being done, maybe what a timeline would be, so that they could maybe return from their, you know, to their homes and see what's left. All that information that regular civilians need, homeowners need, who've been displaced or may be displaced or in danger of being displaced, or, I'm not under evacuation order, but do I go now? You know, this is the kind of information they need. So thumbs up to that group of people in front of the microphone. They at least gave some useful information to the public.
100%. And the thing is, that's when we talk about messaging from law enforcement, messaging from emergency responders. This is what we're talking about. Let me go back to the press conference.
Good morning. The Palisade incident is now at 21,596 acres and 11% contained. It is being in unified command with CAL FIRE Incident Management Team 2 coordinating the efforts. Ground crews and aerial assets worked through the night in the Mandeville Canyon area, creating containment lines and protecting structures, continuing a full suppression effort. Approximately 100 engines were surged into that area for direct suppression efforts and for structure defense. 6 night flying helicopters were utilized all night, and additional night flying resources were also ordered. It was an approximate 1,000 acres in growth last night in the Mandeville Canyon area. Early estimates from an aerial reconnaissance indicate approximately 5,316 structures have been destroyed. And please, what I want you to remember is that structures does not mean homes. Structures can be homes, outbuildings, RVs, automobiles, or other types of things like sheds or outbuildings. Damage inspection teams have been in the field surveying properties. As of this morning, it's confirmed 426 homes have been destroyed. We still have over 105,000 citizens that have been evacuated. There is a fire weather watch being issued for the next 72 hours. And tonight there will be a community meeting at Calvary Westlake Church at 6:30 p.m. tonight. The address for the meeting is 5495 Via Rocas in Westlake Village. And next, I would like to introduce LA County Sheriff Robert Luna.
Thank you, and good morning. So this morning, our staff at the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department has increased to approximately 700. We continuously bring people in. We've shifted to 12 on, 12 off shifts in patrol, and we will continue to reevaluate that as the needs come up, not just in our area of responsibility, but the entire county of Los Angeles and our partner law enforcement agencies' needs. Just to reiterate, our missions include hard road closures, traffic control points, roving security, welfare checks, evacuations as needed at the request of our partners at Fire. And from what I'm told currently, we are not performing any evacuations, but that can change at a minute's notice. And we're doing escorts for essential service needs, like animal recoveries, medications, and things of that nature. Now, I want to take a couple of minutes to explain this so that hopefully everybody understands. An evacuation order versus warning. And I want to put this out to our community, some of them who have been significantly impacted. And we're trying to have as much empathy as we possibly can, but safety does come first. I would like to reemphasize that an evacuation order is a mandatory directive for residents to leave the area immediately due to imminent danger, wildfire, floods, anything of that nature. Failure to heed our warnings can put individuals at risk and potentially interfere with emergency response efforts. You've heard me say it the last couple of days. Every miraculous story of a rescue or tragedies that we're encountering, the majority are people who did not heed the warning to leave or the order to leave. Failure to heed these warnings, I already talked about that. Evacuation warnings are precautionary alerts informing residents that they should be prepared to evacuate as the situation may worsen. So you got to be ready to go. A lot of people are coming back saying, hey, I need my medicine. Please try and remember, and I know it's chaotic, it's stressful, it's not easy. Important paperwork, your medication, your pets, maybe supplies for your pets, those kind of things, have those ready to go. While it's not mandatory, it's strongly advised to prepare to leave the area to make other arrangements. Please understand the decisions to evacuate or issue warnings are not made lightly. I have been at command post or other venues where they're talked about very seriously. We do not want to inconvenience people that we don't have to, but there's always a top priority. Is your life in danger? That's what the priorities are made for. Many orders have been downgraded or lifted related to the Eaton fire, such as Glendale, La Crescentia, much of Pasadena, Monrovia, La Cañada, Flint Ridge, Arcadia, and some in Sierra Madre. We continue to reevaluate these areas, and we will adjust when the time is appropriate. I'm going to switch now to the curfew order that we have in place. A curfew order was established for the Palisades and Eaton fire areas in all mandatory evacuation zones that will be in effect from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. until further notice. That is something else we continuously will be evaluating. This curfew will be strictly enforced and is being taken to enhance public safety, protect property, and prevent any crime, specifically burglary or looting, in areas where residents have been evacuated. Many times when we're trying to evacuate people, their number one concern is somebody going to break into my house? They shouldn't have to worry about that because they're worried about so many other things. This is trying to assist them. We ask that all individuals comply with the curfew and stay clear of the affected zones unless you are authorized personnel or emergency responders. We have people driving up and around trying to get in just to look. Stay away. Anyone found in violation of this curfew will be subject to arrest for a misdemeanor offense under the county code, and conviction may result in a fine of $1,000 or jail. We understand that this is extremely stressful and absolutely challenging, but we appreciate our public's cooperation, our community's cooperation as we work together to get through this crisis, and we will do it together. National Guard deployment. We have roughly 400 National Guard members deployed around the region that are assisting not only us, but our partners at the Los Angeles Police Department, Pasadena Police Department, Santa Monica Police Department, Azusa Police Department, Arcadia and Sierra Madre police departments. They're assisting with road closures and critical infrastructure missions. I want to switch now to arrest and criminal activity. These numbers fluctuate and they do change. In total, we have made 22 arrests between the Eaton Palisades Fire, 19 arrests in the Eaton area and 3 in the Palisades area. All these individuals were in areas they were not supposed to be there, meaning they had no business being there. Of the 4 arrested last night, 2 were arrested for unauthorized entry of emergency areas. Basically, we had 2 arrests for curfew violations. You heard me say it yesterday. We've directed our deputies that under these circumstances, if you get arrested for a curfew violation, you are not going to be cited and released. Those 2 individuals were actually booked at stations. So I'm just letting you know, you go out there and you violate this curfew, you are going to spend time in jail. You're not going to get cited and released. I want to make that very clear. Most of the arrests were made for burglary, looting, including trespassing, possession of narcotics, identity theft, and 1 suspect was on active parole and charged with the possession of a concealed firearm. These are the kind of folks that our deputies are encountering, stopping, investigating. Some of them need to arrest, some of them don't. These did. Switching gears on you again, something that we're starting to do this morning. Search and Rescue Task Force. Through Unified Command, the department has committed 40 members of its specialized search and rescue teams to work jointly with our partners at Los Angeles County Fire, Urban Search and Rescue Team, the Coroner's Office for LA County, FEMA, the Office of Emergency Services, and the use of cadaver dogs to search for remains and reunite families. They will conduct systematic grid searches that will commence this morning to locate missing persons and reunite families. Due to safety concerns, we are unable to safely search the impacted areas during the hours of darkness. So this will only be taking place while there's light. We will be staffing a joint family assistance center at 300 East Green Street in the city of Pasadena from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. People will be greeted by deputies along with providing them with additional resources that they may need. If our residents need to take a missing report, our deputies will do that at that point. I encourage you, if you believe somebody's missing, go there, talk to the deputies. We will assist you in any which way that we can. Regarding deaths at this point, and again, this information continues to change. Be patient with us. We have confirmed 11 deaths in our jurisdiction. Again, that does not include LAPD and Pasadena. This is just LA County Sheriff's area of responsibility. 8 in the Eaton Fire and 3 in the Palisades County area. We also have reports for 13 missing individuals. Are those related or not? Maybe, maybe not. We hope to find everybody safe. We want to bring closure to the families. Family assistance centers are open to provide information to people looking for missing and family and friends, and they will be comprised of the Office of Emergency Management, Sheriff's personnel, Los Angeles Police Department, Red Cross, medical examiner, and the Department of Mental Health for the County of Los Angeles. These centers will provide information to families and victims regarding this mass casualty event. A couple of other things, and I'll wrap up here. I know it's a lot of information, but there's a lot going on, and we're really, really busy. Donations. We talk about arrest. We talk about the sad things going on, but I got to tell you, I have been getting a ton of phone calls and inquiries from good people who want to help. They want to donate. So they want to help the people impacted in the disaster. If you are in a position to be able to lend support to countless people who have been left with little or nothing, please contact the Emergency Network of Los Angeles by visiting www.enla.org. The last 2 things more. One, if you haven't heard, we were scheduled to have an NFL playoff game here Monday night at SoFi Stadium, the Rams versus the Vikings. The decision was made to move that game. It is now going to be taking place in Glendale, Arizona. I'd really like to thank the NFL and Stan Kroenke, the owner of the Rams, who looked at the situation and understood that that would be a draw on more resources, both from the LA County Sheriff's Department, the Inglewood Police Department, LA County Fire, and other law enforcement partners. We're in the crisis. Those resources need to go elsewhere. Last thing I will mention is if you need more updates on evacuations or road closures, please visit lacounty.gov/emergency. And with that, I will now be introducing Board Chair Supervisor Catherine Barger.
So I think that was an outstanding presentation. I think it makes people feel these guys are the professionals. They are the boots on the ground. They are giving the messaging, even if it's hard to hear and not good news messaging. They're giving the professional messaging that people want to hear. This sheriff was no nonsense. Look, when we tell you to leave, you got to leave. You know, we've arrested X amount of people. There's some bad people out there taking advantage of this situation, and they're not getting a summons and getting released. They're going to jail. And I think that message is important to get out there to any would-be thugs that are taking advantage of the one parolee with a firearm. I mean, what was his purpose of being in this? You know what his purpose was to rob people, to burglarize empty residences. Just so horrific. Mike, I'm going to get your final thoughts on this, and hopefully we'll get back tomorrow if there's more information. This is going to still be going on. Of course, we know that the Rams game was moved to Arizona. Even the NFL's cooperated. They didn't want to deplete the resources that are necessary to address this situation and not be used for an NFL football game. For that, we give a thumbs up to the NFL. Mike, your final thoughts.
I would encourage anyone to give to the Red Cross, give something to them. I remember after 9/11, they were set up in Trinity Church way down in Lower Manhattan. They had food. They had fresh clothing. They had showers for all the people down there. They were there for months. They were all volunteers from around the country. I met people from like Missouri, all over. And so give to that well-established, excellent, charity, the Red Cross. Give to them. That would be a wonderful thing. And also pray for the people in LA.
100%. And folks, again, if you're not subscribed, hit that red subscribe button on the screen. Give us a thumbs up, ring that bell, hit the like button, and share us with your friends and your family. I'm Bill Cannon from Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. Have a great rest of your day, and God bless everyone.
One episode just ain't enough.